So today I just want to get right into it, talk about the law of attraction. And for one, I want to get on the topic of energy. So we all know, or if you don't know, energy can never be created or destroyed. It can only be transferred from one form to another. So with that fact alone, knowing that everything is energy, everything in the outer world that we see, can hear, taste, touch, everything is energy, and our brain is like a translator that translates this information into what we perceive as whatever it is that we're looking at or smelling or touching or looking, right? And our inner world, like our thoughts, when we imagine something in our mind, that too is a form of energy. It's just not a physical, what we would perceive as a physical energy, but it is nonetheless something real, and it's a form of energy. So whenever we imagine or think something or speak something out loud as if it is so, like if you say, I'm wealthy, I am successful, my life is awesome, and you persist in putting that thought out, and or you speak it all the time, that energy is actually going to produce a physical reality. It's going to transform itself into an actual physical event. Because again, energy can never be created or destroyed, it can only be transformed. So it's transforming into a real physical thing, and there's nothing or no one that can stop it from coming into existence. So that's something that we must accept as a fact, because it's true. The only thing that could actually stop it is yourself, like your doubt that it's going to happen, or you're thinking of the opposite thing, or you're predominantly thinking of the lack or the worst case scenario instead of staying true to your affirmation, or you have existing beliefs that contradict it, right? So whichever is more persistent in your vibration, or whichever is more dominant in your mind, that's the one that's going to win, and that's going to one that's going to come to fruition, right? So for example, like if you're saying, I'm wealthy, I'm rich, I am successful, you know, wealth is always coming into my life, I'm so good at what I do, I'm the best, just anything that you can think of, like I'm happily married, I'm wanted, I'm loved, I'm healthy, and even though like you may not be at this moment in time, if you persist in, affirming or saying this, what's going to happen is that your subconscious mind, right, and the universal mind is going to like start to pick up on this information, this frequency, this vibration, right? It's not enough for you to just say it, if or visualize it, if it doesn't really affect you emotionally, or in other words, like you're saying this stuff but really deep down inside you're feeling the opposite way, you know? So you can't really trick your own mind. Like it's gonna know you're saying this, but really you're feeling like really poor, or you're, after you're done, you're just gonna go back to thinking, oh my God, how am I gonna meet this bill? How am I gonna do this? This is not gonna happen. And you're in the fear mentality, and you're in the lack mentality. That is not really authentic. Like you have to be able to maintain the vibration, you have to have the faith, you have to have the courage to see it through. You have to find a way to be like, you know what, this might be my situation right now, and I accept it for what it is, but I'm going to keep on affirming, I'm going to keep on visualizing, and I know some way, somehow it's going to happen, right? So you kind of have to find peace, or just accept the situation for what it is now, just make the best of it. Find little things to be grateful for, find things to like maybe take your mind off it, so that you can resume your affirming and your visualizing, or whatever works for you to change how you feel on the inside, so that can become in time your new most dominant frequency or vibration of how you feel about yourself, your life, or others, so that you can change it. Affects you both mentally and emotionally, right? And so what happens is, there's a proverbs where I think it came from Neville Goddard. It says, the spirit of man is the lamp of God, and God is the light of the world, fashioning the world, right? And nature, the genie, is our slave. It's a slave of this light, and this slave will fashion your world to reflect your thoughts. So anything on the outside, whether it be an inanimate objects, um, minerals, cells, people, animals, everything on the outside is the slave of this lamp. So basically, what it's saying is that your thought vibration, your frequency, when it becomes like your dominant frequency, the outer world, because it's the outer world, your physical world, that it's gonna happen in, right? Like, so the outer world will start to respond, whether it be your body, whatever needs to be done will be done in order for this to become, whatever the equivalent of that is, like on the outside, in like this world, it will come to pass, right? Just like um whatever the equivalent of one, right, plus one equals two, right? So whatever the equivalent of whatever I am wealthy equals in the physical world, that's what will happen. You're wealthy, I'm wealthy. So maybe to you, wealth means having millions of dollars. Maybe to you, wealth means just having, like, making $100,000 a year. It depends on what it is to you, like culturally, and like what that means to you, like individually. But I can say for sure that whatever it is that you're affirming, it must come to pass, because the outer world has no real motive of its own, right? But it is under the necessity of reflecting your thoughts, because the outer world and your inner world, it's all made out of the same substance, right? It's made out of the same thing. The only difference is the rate of vibration. Whereas the outer world has a lower form of vibration, and your thoughts, your inner world, this is a higher rate of vibration. So it has directive power over the outer world. And so, and like I was saying, it's all one. The only reason you think like there's no separation, the only reason like you think that the outer world and the inner world are you may appear separate, right? Because of our senses, and it makes us think that it's, and there's also like a lag time between like what you're saying and then its eventual manifestation, but it's all made of the same substance, right? It's a product of your thoughts. The outer world is a product of your thoughts. So once you change your thoughts and your emotions and you stop feeding into the old thoughts, then it has no ability to sustain itself, right? So it's like you're basically cutting its source, you're cutting its root, and it just and eventually shrivels up and disappears, and your world starts to transform itself according to its new source, which is you, your thoughts, your emotions, because it's not separate from you. It's merely an extension or reflection of you. So that's why it must work. There's no alternative except you, or if you constantly change your mind, or if you doubt the process, or things of that nature. But again, once you persistently, you have to pay attention or give it your attention in order for it to manifest itself. It won't manifest itself of its own, your desires, right? So this is essentially how manifestation, law of attraction works. And I would definitely put it into practice, if there's anything that you want, and if you just want to maintain the best like life possible. I would continuously just have great attitudes about life, even though that may not be the case right now. That's why the rich keep getting richer and the poor keeps getting poorer, because rich people are constantly on that mentality, and rich people are constantly affirming or thinking thoughts of wealth and prosperity, whereas mostly people that don't, they constantly reflecting their environment. They cannot escape it. They can't think greater than their environment. So that's why we do have the power of redemption, and we do have the power to control our thoughts, to control our mind, and we can replace through thoughts, through affirmations, through just recording what we watch, what on TV, the things we give our attention to. We have control over that. So we essentially do have the ability, with this information, you obviously want to have a reason why to do this, right? So that's why I would recommend that if you're specifically, like for example, if you're like sick, or you have a tendency to get sick, or if you fear that you might get sick because you have unhealthy habits, or you may have like some family history of a certain disease or whatever, I wouldn't focus on sickness. I wouldn't focus on all the terrible symptoms and all the terrible situations like other people that are sick. I would focus on health. What is health? How the idea of health, how the immune system works, how the specific organs works that you're dealing with when it is at its best. Focus on that. See it structurally, like if you have to Google it, how it would look in its perfect state. Think of it as being perfect and being restructuring itself now, right? Do some people, that's why people practice like certain cultural things. They'll have incense or they'll have the rub oil on themselves or whatever, and it's the act, right? The action of, even though there's no real scientific evidence that like this is really supposed to do anything, but just the act of the habitual and the repetitive action of visualizing yourself getting better, and the healing, and then seeing yourself as healed, anticipating health, like the subject is always health, and just maintaining health, and just becoming healthy. So that's the main idea that the mind grasps at, and so therefore that's what you will get, whether it takes you meeting the right surgeon or doctor, or if it happens naturally just because the body is able to heal itself. And then yes, obviously, I had Dr. Bruce Lipton was saying he had dealt with a certain sickness, and he opted to take medicine because the disease was replicating at such a fast rate. So he did, because it was going so fast, he did opt for medication, which I would say, yes, I am not against medication. Sometimes that's the answer, but the answer will come, right? You also have to take certain reason, common sense into play. But if you, for the bigger things or the things you just don't have the answer for right now, just focus on the end, the happy situation, and that's when everything on the outside, whether it takes you to get an idea, whether it leads you to go to a certain store, leads you to go go visit a certain doctor, just don't give up. It may not happen right away, but just know that have the faith that, okay, I'm just going to continue doing what I'm doing. I know it's going to happen, and this is just the journey. So yes, that's what I'm going to leave you with for today. And yeah, just whenever you're going into your day-to-day life, just remember these tips, right? So yeah, wish you the best and enjoy your day. I'll see you in the next one.